After all that you have been through, and all that you have done, all that you have become, the Aetheran lies in front of you. Divinity is yours to take, or to sacrifice. What you do next decides your own fate, and the future of the world. What shall you do with divinity?
And so it ended. A tale that began with my own ill-fated attempt to rid the world of the Godwoken. When the dust settled, no new divine had risen. Instead, all Source was released into the world for all the people and every creature to share. Everyone was now a sorcerer. And united, the peoples of Rivellon pushed back the God King into the very depths of the void. This ushered in a new golden age of peace and prosperity. But alas, it was not to last. With many greedy for wealth, power and position, the struggle soon began anew. Source, the very language of creation, was used in violence once more. The never-ending contest for power continued. As for me, I was freed of the tyranny of the God King. To atone for my sins in this world, I spent the rest of my days taking care of the sick and elderly. I would tell the story of the Godwoken to anyone who would listen. The story of the greatest heroes Rivellon had ever known. The heroes who chose not to close the veil.
Well, well, look what the cat dragged in. A Godwoken. But what good is it to be Godwoken when Source is now a free-for-all, and there is no divinity to be had? Don't fool yourself. In the absence of a master will rise. King, God, there is still power to be had. As long as there is power, there is conflict. Source for all, it is but the dream of an idiot who will soon wake to find his wrists in shackles. In that sense, I suppose I should look upon it all as an opportunity. People crave authority. They'll beg for a sorcerer king like me. Please, I'm not a dilettante.
He sighs, which seems to ease his surly countenance.
But come, we've travelled too long by one another's side to end with an argument. We'll not part on bad terms, will we? Home. After all, I've dragons to raise. I need to teach them to be good boys and girls before they set the entire world on fire. There may be an accident or two along the way. I can't be held to so long to see my palace again. The Forbidden City. The scents of spices and incense, to sit all day in perfumed shade and watch the white of the marble change with the journey of the sun. But above all, I long to be with Sadha. Long to finally have the time to love. Oh, but before you go, remember how when we first met, I took you by the jaw to inspect your teeth? Not something one forgets in a hurry. Now, if you recall, as per your own testimony, you can groom, but alas, you've no culinary skills whatsoever, and you lack a sense of fashion. Far from ideal. Still, I'm nothing if not a tolerant man who believes in individual growth. I'm sure the journey taught you much. As such, I'd like to offer you what I denied you before, the opportunity to become my slave. What say you? Well, that's settled then. You're very welcome to my house indeed. We'll feast and reminisce. but in the meantime, my boots are not going to clean themselves. You'll have to wear a collar again, by the by.
Malady stands tall and proud, sunlight sparkling off her mask. From here, she looks almost angelic.
Well, here we are again. You, me, and the ship I've saved from ruin for your personal benefit. Get an eyeful. I have a lot of planning to do.
She drums her fingers testily on her crossed arms.
All that work, all that effort, tossed into the gutter like a malformed child. You say that now. Let's see how you feel when you realize the true implication of a world filled with sorcerers. Never mind.
She fingers the mask covering her face. For a moment, it seems as though she's about to remove it, but instead, she places a hand on your shoulder.
We've come a long way together. I did my best by you all the way. Sacrificed much.
She looks you up and...
I guess this will take a moment. Relax, enjoy. I certainly plan to do the same. Oh, I don't know. Around and about. Treat my... Perhaps our paths will until we find...
There's nothing interesting down here. The future.
You escaped an abominable prison and confronted the king of all gods, only for divinity to... Now that I am clear of mind and free of intruders, I'm wondering if it isn't time to share my learning. Once I've come to a conclusion, until we meet...
Source of all, eh? Bold move, I'll grant you that. I didn't think anyone considered the little people anymore. I don't know yet. Perhaps peace will reign and all will be equal. Or perhaps you've bestowed great power. Time will tell, I'm sure.
Well, well, Quirkus. Look who finally graced... What? No, you're welcome. Honestly, Quirkus, some creatures have no sense of perspective. A huge grin slowly... Of course, had you not stopped this god...
The cat moves forward.
Ah, Quirkus! Please, have a little decorum.
Quirkus arches his back.
This battle is won, my friend, but we still have... They summoned the great acorn once. That is the future Quirkus and I have ahead of us. We no longer...
The squirrel tenses.
Ah! Oh, well, that was certainly an experience. I don't suppose... I never thought I would be proud. Ow! Quirkus! I do not know what... Come, Quirkus. We must...
The cat curls up and snuggles.
I'm buzzing. I don't know how else to describe it. But I want to say it was brave. Maybe it was, but it was...
Gareth is still. For a moment, his mind wanders to memories of friends and enemies, of malady and magisters, of demons and divinity. He is then...
The people of Rivellon will call you their savior. The power is in them, in all of them. And there will come a time when they rebel, and the price will be high. Clearly, you've blessed them and cursed them with a single choice. You didn't reveal your altruism. You revealed power will be shared among the evil and the good, the light and the dark, the sky and the earth. They will enjoy equal sort.
A slight grin crossed...
Hey there, Chief. So, a world full of sorcerers. What do you make of it? I suppose it will. Never hurts to shake things up a bit. Spice of life and all that. Get loot, play loot, get loot. So, Chief, I guess this is it, right? You say that now, but who knows what adventures and redheads life will throw at you. Whatever it is, you'll...
As she turns from you, the whites of her eyes darken. The veins in her face go... Suddenly, it's gone again. She winks.
See you around.
I feel weird. like I've got... There is a matter I must attend to, however.
He taps his fingers and mouths silently while he counts, until...
1,300,000 dozen and 50 teen gold pieces. Now pay up. It is so, but if you can't pay me in money, then I'll just have to insist you keep me on until you can. So, what position...
Han ponders your...
You got it.
A world full of sorcerers. That's quite a thing. But don't worry, darling. You're still...
Ifan beams at you, his blood-streaked face more jubilant than you've ever seen it. He reaches out and pulls you into a bear hug, clapping you on the back.
We did it. The odds were against us. Hell, the gods were against us. And still we did it.
Ifan grasps your face in his hands and kisses you exuberantly. Sauce crackles between you and in the air all around you. The world has changed.
Now we'll see something. We'll see what happens when everyone can harness their own divinity. I'm sure enough for the both of us. I knew it. From the first time I met you, I knew you were special. And with a world full of sorcerers, we should be able to make short work of the Voidwoken. That's an idea.
He reaches out and takes your hands in his own, rough fingers caressing your wrists.
I want that more than anything.
Ifan embraces you fiercely. As your source mingles and sparks, you feel the memories of your night together caressing your body. The world can wait, just a little longer.
Are you ready for what's next?
It gives me almost as much pleasure to speak to you as it does to be whole again. I will always be an ally. I am at the ready.
You look out to the endless beyond. The sun's light plays upon the waves, just as it always did. And with a start, you realize where you must go next. The world was at peace, at least for now. Few were as prepared for the new world as the lizardkin of the ancient empire. With power spread equally throughout the world, the advantage lay with those who knew how to steal it, and at this the lizards excelled. Justinia returns to her throne. Under her rule, the Dwarven kingdom prospered, until 2 years later, a jealous lover stabbed her in the heart with a mutton fork. With their power returned, the elves reclaimed their lands from the Death Fog and began to rebuild. Soon they would split as two factions sought power, one to bring back the trees, the other to bring back the scions. A dwarven joke did the rounds. It ends with the punchline, "So Lucian dropped the Death Fog on them again." And in a dark forest on the far side of a desert, well beyond the high seas, the Black Ring came together once more. The island of Fort Joy, the old redoute of the Source King Brachus Rex, was turned over to the people of Driftwood to use as they wished. They turned it into a holiday resort. Reaper's Coast prospered. The fisheries returned, and the fertile farmlands produced the greatest harvests the surviving farmers had ever seen. Blood Moon Island became particularly fecund, its soil producing the greatest crops. A particularly crimson-fleshed orange grown on the island became a delicacy across half the world. The black pits took fire. The oil there burns still. Driftwood became a centre of industry, trade and transport. Lohar the dwarf became mayor. His time in office was cut short by an unfortunate wound that spontaneously appeared on his neck. Your lizard lover from the Black Bull Tavern finally returned to the ancient Lizard Empire, there to found the newest and most popular of all the houses, the House of Love. Lagan left his over-demanding wife and began a relationship with a local bard. In the spirit of loving generosity, he returned the ring to his now ex-wife. In a fit of rage, she threw it into the sea. You would never forget Dorothea's kiss. Dorothea herself left Driftwood for the ancient empire, ever in search of the perfect kiss. She never found it, although once or twice she came close. The nameless isle had vanished. Although only open water remained, by instinct ships would steer clear. None of the captains could articulate why. Millennia later, adventurers would come in search of the legendary divine city of Arx and the crypt of the great Lucian. None would pass the path of blood. Sir Gareth thanked the surviving seekers for their service and gave them their freedom. Disillusioned with the rising chaos, he set out alone to find a new purpose. He would never stop seeking. Young Han went into the theatre and became one of the realm's most popular actors. Almira and Mihaili settled in an abandoned homestead. The locals liked and respected Almira. She never wanted for help, and deals always fell to her favor. Outsiders were often suspicious, but no local would speak against her. With no new divine, Malady found herself in a predicament. She had an important problem to solve, but no ally strong enough to call upon, and so her search continued. Having performed the greatest act of necromancy in history, Tarquin found the new world unchallenging. He became obsessed with rumors of another plane of existence. One day he vanished and was never seen again. With the source released to the world, Ahu the wizard spent more and more time as a cat. One day he decided he would not change back. Jehan the demon hunter found himself at a loose end, so he opened a museum of demonic artifacts. After it burned down, with Jehan inside, witnesses claimed that the flames were the color of blood. As the forests grew anew and the elves were equals at last, Sahala shared elven knowledge of source with the world. But some elves disagreed and plotted against her. Chief amongst her opponents was Tova, Sahala's own mother. With a small band of elves, Ifan ben Mesd replanted the lost elven forests. After the first fresh shoots broke the earth, he disappeared and was never seen again. Some say Afrit, his soul wolf, walks the forests still. The Red Prince came home a hero. With Sada, he had more dragons. Soon, Prince became Emperor, one who would not use his dragons for conquest. His realm knew peace, and the world did not burn. Losa returned to her music. and enjoyed a storied career as Rivellon's premier musician. Dark moods would at times overtake her, and she would spend long hours walking in the wilds. She always returned with a new song. And then there was you. You returned to the world a sorcerer among many. Your future was yours to decide. Did you accept your new status with humility? Only you know the truth, you and one other. But of him you are free. The God King no longer calls your name. He no longer whispers your shame. Only you know if you atone for your sins.